Our average client stays with us 38 months now is our new updated time. It used to be 32. So now we're up to 38 months, basically, 3.5 years. I've got 14 clients that have been with me 15 years or more now. I mean, you start to make a connection with people and you develop a way to challenge them and continue to achieve some goals, and they see success, and that cycle cannot stop.
Hey, fitness fans, welcome back to the Future of Fitness podcast and interview series. This is your host, Eric Malzone, and we are on episode number 96. I get to talk to Robert Linkul, awesome guy out of Sacramento, California. He owns the gym Be Stronger Fitness, which focuses on strength training for the older adult. So Robert's a great guy. He has built quite a business with a very specific market. Now, when we talk about the older adult, let's define this really quickly. People over the age of 50, essentially, is how he defines it, I believe. And I know a lot of gym owners, a lot of facility owners, a lot of trainers who are specifically focusing on this demographic. It is a awesome group of people to work with. Really hassle-free. The rewards that they get from the training and proper coaching is tremendous. And you just feel really good working with this particular demographic, but it's different. It's very different. You have to set it up, the whole experience from top to bottom, to make sure that you are optimizing the experience for this particular population, right? And I'm starting to realize, I'm not that far, right? I'm not far from 50 plus. I'm 42. I keep talking like these are much older people than me, but they're not. So anyway, that's my own realization. Yeah, the cool thing about it is he doesn't talk about lead generation, right? He talks about referral generation. And all of that comes from having a great experience for your clientele. And Robert doesn't hold back on this. He gives us a lot of the secret sauce for what he does. He is, I believe, starting a course on how to do this with modules for facility owners and coaches all over the world. So you can find out more about that in the show. But this is a really, really high value. It's a great group of people to work with. Like I said, highly lucrative and very rewarding in so many ways. So I hope a lot of people will listen to this and take action steps right away, because there's a ton of them in here. And so before we get on to that, the Fitness Accelerator, guys, it's my big thing right now. It's just growing and it's awesome. And the influence is tremendous. And if you are a mover and shaker in the industry, if you want to be in the same room with other movers and shakers in the industry, you got to get on top of it. We will grow this to probably 150 and cap it, and that'll be it. And then we're just going to do our thing. So if you're interested in being part of that community, if you want to be a part of a place where networks are leveraged in a big way. I mean, imagine what we did before we had social media, right? What did people do? How did people grow their businesses? They collaborated. Sure, they'll be like, Eric, they put out ads in a newspaper. They did radio. I know, I sold radio. I sold ads all over the place. And I could tell you, it's still nothing compares to investing in relationships and leveraging partnerships. Nothing compares to that type of growth. And the way you do it is way more satisfying than any other way. So invest in relationships. Go check out the Fitness Accelerator. You can find it at fitnessprofessionalonline.com/fit accelerator. Find the application there. And we do take those seriously. So fill it out in detail, and we will let you know within 24 hours if you are accepted. Again, it is fitnessprofessionalonline.com/fit accelerator. And without further ado, let's go on to the show with Robert Linkul. Enjoy. All right, Robert Linkul, welcome to the show, man.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing a lot better now that I get to explore, your specialty here, which is pretty cool, and something that I'm thinking a lot of people are dying to learn more about, and maybe a little confused due to their own biases on how to work with this segment of population. And
absolutely,
if we can, before we get into a lot of the nitty gritty, just give us your story, man. How did you get, what's your story through fitness? How did you get started to work with the older segment? And drop us some knowledge.
Absolutely. Yeah. Long story short, I get rambling a little bit, so I'll try to keep everything on short terms. But I started back in the industry in 1999, like right out of high school. I had an opportunity to start working with some track athletes. I was a hammer thrower, discus thrower, and Title IX with Nevada ended up canceling the men's track program at UNR, University of Nevada. So I came here to Sacramento, and I had a little stint in Arizona. I was there for my first year, Mesa Community College, trying to transfer to ASU, and just really didn't like it in Arizona. So I came to Sacramento. But while I was in Arizona, we had a YMCA right across the street from our house. And I thought, I like to lift. I may as well go over there and get a job. I could check people in at the gym, give them a towel, let them go. And I went over there. I applied for the job, and they say, well, you're pretty fit. You're pretty muscular. Why don't you be one of our trainers? And I said, well, I'm not certified. I don't really know what I'm doing. And they go, you don't need that. We'll hire you right now. You look great.
Yeah.
Said,
what a better
for real? It's like, that's it? Yeah. So I was a trainer. So I had no idea what I was doing. And I'm like, all right, well, I do box jumps and snatches and cleans. And, so I had all my clients start doing that. And I was terrible. I wasn't hurting people, but I just wasn't any good. And they're like, this isn't really what we asked for. And I said, I get it. I went to my boss and I said, how do I do this job? Like, how do you want me to get better at this? He goes, I don't care. Just make me money. And that moment was very defeating for me. I thought, is this how this industry is? So when I, fast forward 9 months, I get here to Sacramento and start working as an independent trainer at a like a Gold's Gym or World's Gym that we had here. And working as an independent, still, I'm just like, I don't really know how I'm doing this or what to do. I'm going to school for kinesiology. Strength and conditioning was my focus. And I was thinking I'd be a strength coach. And as I continue to try to work with athletes through schooling, we get to work with different teams. I work with the rowers and football and all that. I really found that I wasn't all that great at training these individuals and progressions, but I was really good at working with the ones that were injured. And to make money on the side, I ended up getting a job at a country club. Same way, went in to apply for a desk job and to check people in. And they're like, we need a trainer. And again, I'm the same thing. They're like, no, you look great. Let's just hire you. So they hired me and eventually got certified, started working with clients. Next thing I knew, majority of my clients were over 50. Almost all of them had physical limitations. And as I continued through my career, I started having a lot of physical limitations. I totally blew up my back, just blew it apart one day, getting ready to back squat. I was a 550 back squatter at about 230 pounds body weight and not super strong, but decent for my size and my sport. And I had 225 on the bar warming up and felt my L5, S1 just blow apart laterally in my back. And I was in a brand new gym using brand new weights. And I was down in a squat, deep bucket squat. And I just thought, I can't dump these weights on the ground. They're brand new. So I forced myself out of the squat and laid on the floor for 90 minutes until somebody found me. And went home 3 days later, emergency surgery to have a discectomy on my back to fix me. And I had clients over the next 9 months that all had back injuries that had come to me because they heard about my experience. And then I was working with a client one day and coughed and I had blood all over my hands. And went into the doctor and found an x-ray of a tumor in my lungs. So I had lung cancer and had my left lung removed and follow-up x-rays with that, a huge surgery, removing my ribs and cutting through my lat, my serratus and intercostals, and just a massive surgery to go through that. And going through these different x-rays to check up on my lung, I had many punctured lungs that just kept re-breaking and they had to keep refixing it. They noticed a tumor in my thyroid and it continued to grow bigger through these x-rays. So I had a tumor removed from there. And then I had 2 or 3 years where things were pretty good, like 2010 to 13, nothing was really going on. And I started experiencing a lot of hip injuries, a lot of hip pain, and went in and found that both of my labrums were completely torn. I had arthritis so badly in the joints in there from massive amounts of rotation in one dominant direction, just unilateral dominance on this one leg over and over again, and just worn through both labrums and my hips. And I was completely bone on bone. I had bone spurts built up and was literally just breaking into the head of my femur and the acetabulum of my hip. So they said, hey, you need hip replacements. And I'm sitting there going, I'm 32 years old. What do you mean I need hip replacements? So they did arthroscopies on me. Remove the head out. They do the microfiber drilling in there and all this ooze kind of comes out and it creates like a false labrum for about a year. Mine lasted about 8 months. And then eventually I did have a total right hip replacement. And then 6 months later, I had a left total hip replacement. And the left one just didn't feel right from day one. It eventually dislocated on day 2. Probably the most painful experience I've ever had was going through that. And 911 call, all that whole thing, 24 hours waiting for another hip replacement surgery. So I had that experience. I had 2 ligaments and cyst in my wrist that kind of came apart from throwing shot put for so many years. So I've had wrist surgeries. I had a hernia repair. I've had all kinds of different surgeries that if you take those and you put them on paper and you show them to somebody, they say, that's an old man, right? That's a 70-year-old guy that's got fake hips and all this. So I stole this line from Tony Robbins. I love this line where he says, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And I heard that from him maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I thought that is exactly the way I want to think about these things is, it's not a woe is me moment. I don't tell you all that, like Alan Cosgrove line. I'm not telling you this to impress you. I'm telling it to you to impress upon you, right? A way of thinking about this. I love that line. And really the mindset is I've had this experience, this opportunity to experience all these things to connect specifically to this demographic. I was so athletic driven. I was so focused on I'm going to work with these athletes and all these things happen. And a lot of young trainers, or I should say entry-level trainers, they miss these opportunities sometimes. They're not consciously aware of an opportunity or an expertise that comes to them. And they keep thinking, I'm supposed to be doing this. That's where my heart is. Where sometimes working with older pops, working with youth, working with a specialty demographic, it's presented to you on purpose. And so I really embraced that. I dove into it 100%. And when clients come in here and they're like, I'm worried, and they, our weight room has 0 machines. We use free weight. It looks like a strength and conditioning center. You come in and we have free racks and kettlebells and hex bars and squat racks. And it looks like you'd find it at any university in this country. People come in and they go, how do you train old folks here? And I say, well, let me tell you my story about my experience. And once you kind of go through and empathize with them a bit, they go, you've had hip replacements and you have back surgery and you've gone through cancer, surgeries. And I say, yeah, I've been there. There's this ease that comes over them right away. There's a connection to us that, they find common ground with me, even though I'm almost 38, to be able to come in and say, I trust you and I'm 75 to not hurt me. That's like the biggest fear that trainers have working with older pops. They don't want to work with them because they're afraid of hurting them. And when you've gone through the experiences yourself, either personally or training people for it, it's a different ballgame when you have that experience and you're ready to connect with people. So very, very long story, hopefully not too long of an explanation, but kind of gives you an idea of where I came through. That whole time I got my kinesiology degree, master's degree in personal training and sports science from the United States Sports Academy. I'm a fellow with the NSCA. I've been with them for 15 years, and I teach exam preps for them. I was the chairman for the Personal Trainer Special Interest Group for 6 years. I wrote for their Personal Trainer Quarterly for 5 years. I've done all kinds of stuff with them. So that's me in a nutshell, a very long nutshell, but that's about everything.
No, that's huge. I mean, knowing the background on you makes a lot of sense. When the reason we got put in touch is because I asked somebody in our closed Facebook group in the Modern Fitness Pro, hey, I'm looking to interview somebody who is an expert with working with the 50 plus demographic. And I think I had 3 people say Robert Linkul. Right? Oh, nice. And so obviously your name's getting out there in some way or fashion. And it's interesting because so much of my experience is very brief and, limited with working with, 50, 55 plus age group is the ability to empathize, right? And understand, how, if I'm listening and I'm putting myself in Eric 2015, right? Owning a facility and wanting to work with these people. How does one, if you come from a traditional, like I'm an athlete, I haven't had a lot of injuries, right? I was an athlete my whole life. How do I better relate and empathize with the older generation? I mean, if I don't have, I'm not going to say the benefit of everything that's happened to you because that's just an odd thing to say because it was like surgery after surgery. But in many ways, I'm sure you, as it seems like your attitude reflects that, you see the benefits of having all that experience. But if someone doesn't have that, how do they empathize or
get hurt?
Next,
go
get hurt.
No, I do think people are. I could take it back to like the most simple, like almost everybody's thrown their back out at one point. Almost everybody's sprained an ankle or strained a hamstring or something, and you really want to kind of put your mindset in that moment. Nothing for me, I feel like, is more humbling than when you throw your back out. And it's like, you can't stand up straight. You can't lay down. You can't sit down. Like, you just can't find comfort. There are people that we work with that are like that. permanently, like all the time. So if you can kind of put yourself in that mindset, even though it might have been years ago, of just where like the most basic human movements that we perform on a daily basis, we take for granted so much. If you put yourself in the mindset of like these things are challenging, picking things up and down off the floor, getting up and down stairs, sitting to standing, I call it manipulation strength, like trying to get yourself from the center of the bed to the edge of the bed, getting out of the booth that you just ate at. It's not a straight squat. You got to kind of shimmy and move yourself to the edge and rotate, like those types of things. If you could find and envision those being challenging, then I think you can kind of put yourself into their mindset a little bit. So you don't really need to go get hurt, but you just need to kind of bring a level of awareness to the simplicity of movement that we do on a daily basis, and how that could be very challenging and really disheartening if taken away from you. Part of my presentations, I have videos of me, learning how to get up and down out of a chair using a walker. I'm here at work in a wheelchair, training my clients. Try talking to a brand new client coming through the door for their first, consultation, and I roll up. Hey, nice to meet you. And they're like, I had one lady that goes, is this a joke? And I was like, no. What do you mean? And she goes, they told me you were a hammer thrower and all this. And I'm like, well, yeah, I just had a surgery, and so a lot of times the expectations, I was like coming to California, I'm like, whoa, did you just say that to me? I'm a lawyer. No, I'm kidding. But, you got to put yourself in that mindset of what if things were so, were so restricted and my general movements were taken away. How would I want to rebuild this, and how would I want somebody to empathize with me? And unfortunately, our parents and our grandparents all experience this at some point. So a lot of times the 20 to 30-year-olds, they might experience some of this by hanging with their grandparents. And so you get experiences through your personal opportunities, but also professional by working with more clients that way. So you can reflect on some personal experiences, either being injured yourself or some of the struggles you've had working with family members who have been injured, especially the older ones that go through that, or go out and find individuals that are doing it. I haven't seen a lot of expert level Nick Tuminellos and Brad Schoenfelds and names that, they're experts in working with the older pops. There's not a whole lot of names that like pop out like that, but there's a ton of trainers who that is their expertise. They're just not known on an international level. So you can find people out there that are basically doing what you do, and go and learn from them and observe from them. And that's the whole reason I do my webinar series and all of our online teaching and everything that we do here in the gym. And we do events here and clinics here. All that is to teach, other professionals how to get the experiences I've had and to kind of merge that onto you to let you share that experience and bring that back to your clients. So some opportunities can be presented to you. Some you got to go out and seek out. I think those are a couple of the ways that, the entry level trainer or the one looking to make this their demographic expertise can try to get some experience and some ability empathizing with.
Yeah. It's trying to say this politically correct, but no, screw it. It's not the sexiest demographic to work with, right? Everybody wants to work with the athletes. Everybody wants to work with, the athletes, right? That's what most people get. And they think they're going to work with pro athletes or, people who are very care about their looks, right?
Right.
So tell me about the content you're putting on. You mentioned webinars, you mentioned other pieces of content and instruction. Are you educating coaches now on how to do this?
Oh yeah, I've been doing that for a while. But just to touch on that last thing that you just said there, when you take somebody and you increase their bench press from 275 to 280, and you get up and you high five them and they go about their day, that's awesome, right? That's a great feeling as a coach. But when you teach someone how to get up and down off the floor for the first time under their own power and they start crying, you know what I mean? When you get somebody that they can now clothe themselves, they can put their arms over their head, like those kinds of experiences. When I say which one's having more of a lifetime effect on people, there's no more rewarding demographic to work with. So maybe not the sexiest, but man, can you have an effect on their life? I mean, a massive effect on their life. I had a guy that's a Marine that's in here. He was in Vietnam. And he's the guy that every day, like, I'd get a handshake and a nod from. And I post about him on Facebook all the time. His name's Jerry. After his hip replacement, guy was just in massive amounts of pain and just really uncomfortable all the time. I basically, and his wife, had to kind of talk him into the idea at 75 to have a hip replacement. He didn't want to have surgery. He did it, rehabilitated great. We did a huge pre-surgery program, like 8 months of getting him ready for this, and just glute bridged him to death, basically, just got his butt really strong. And he bounced back. His rehab was 4 or 5 months ahead of where somebody his age would be. Awesome. And he's in here just crushing it now. Yeah. And 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting on the bench, we're getting done, and we're doing the cool down. And he comes over and he sits next to me, and I said, "Great job today, Jerry." And he goes, "Thank you." And I said, "No, it's my pleasure." And he goes, No, thank you." And he puts his head like on my shoulder. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at him like, this is his feeling of affection, like just a small little bromance moment of like, thanks, man. Like, and it was, this guy's like the guy that doesn't hug his kid. He does, but he's that guy, right? He's
He's old school. Yeah.
Yeah. In that moment, I'm like, oh my God, this is what he's talking about. And he goes, "I've never felt so good. I can go walks, take my dog on walks and walk with my wife." And I'm just, that moment, I'm like, this is why I do it,
Awesome.
So though not sexy, so rewarding, man. And when you help someone do that, you're like, I want to do this again. Like it's a whole different feel. So anyway, as soon as you hit that, I'm like, I got a story.
Yeah.
So I do a year-long webinar series. It's one a month. And we're already coming up into year 2. So we have all of 2019 already scheduled out. And this whole year was kind of focused on the business of training older adults. And I put it that way, not that it's all about financials and business plans, but this is the business of, like, my whole business is built on working with people 50 and over. It's a different philosophy, a different, marketing campaigns. It's different everything based on that demographic. Yeah. So I have 6 pillars of strength that we kind of focus on, 6 different movements in our training program that we do on a single daily basis. Every single workout has at least those 6 components. So I break down 2 hours on each one of those 6 components, one every month. We have our split stance one coming up in 2 weeks. And then the other 6 are on, we have community events and referral generations, and how we want referral generations, not lead generations. I want people that are looking to invest into their health, not buy me based on a bottom dollar versus another gym. I could care less if I'm double their price, but if they come here and see my value, that's what I want. I want investors. So there's a whole day on that. There's a day on philosophy design. There's a day on, so we have different components that we go through. And then we did a couple, I call them learn by demos, since it's via video or webinar. They can't really do them with me necessarily. So they're watching me do them. And then I do video analysis of my clients. Every presentation I do has like 30, 40 clients, videos of them, and we break it down. We talk about angles and cues and coaching progressions, and they're, in my opinion, great tools. So people can I've got 40 free webinars on our YouTube channel. It's just Google my name or YouTube my name, and you'll see them all there. And it's very similar to that, the whole series. We do mini webinars, which there are 2 a month, where they're short, little 30 minutes, and we talk about one little specific thing, rack pulls, and how do we do that with older pops, all the progressions. We have another one coming up on our glute bridge series just on that. So we do a lot of education there. I have internship programs, 2 or 3 day internships. We've had people from all over the country. I had a guy from Scotland. I had a guy from Iceland come in, and they spend a Thursday, Friday, Saturday here with us. And they're just 10 hours a day. We go through everything, teach them basically everything you learn in that webinar, plus the experience of being here live. So we teach all that in there. And I give away a ton of content on YouTube, on Facebook. We do client spotlights constantly. I'm a fan of putting up a video of a client doing something and explaining why we do it and how we did it and what the purpose was, not just like, watch Jerry do this glute bridge. Isn't that great? Good job, Jerry. I want to provide an education of what we're doing with that. So everything's geared back towards, trying to get that moment of success, the head on the shoulder for all of us. There's so many people that need us. We just need educated and trainers that have the confidence to do it. So everything I can do to help that develop is my goal.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, God, so many questions for you. How does the client experience differ with your gym and your training versus like, a normal 18 to 45 type age group? Like from, the moment they find you to any kind of assessment or onboarding, how does that whole thing unfold?
Yeah, it's very different. I'm not saying that everything I'm going to go through right now is better than what other gyms do. I'm not saying that. It's just really different. And so I haven't found other facilities or a lot of other trainers that really do things the way that we do it. I have something called common practice, and I always do the air quotes when I do that. Common practice is like, it's what everybody else does in this industry because that's what everyone else has done. So a great example is, one session is $70, but if you buy 4, they're 65, and if you buy 8, they're 60. And we do that discount to like, what if I want 1,000 sessions? Is it $5 a session? Like, everybody does that. But we don't really even know why we started doing that. It's just been common practice and everyone does it.
Yeah.
And so I look at it and I'm like, well, I know my value of a half-hour session and I know my value of an hour. And that's just the price. If it's $30 and you want to come in 8 times this month, it's $240. If you want to come in 10 times, it's $300. Like, I know my price. I'm not going to discount and punish myself if they buy more and undersell, but I'm not going to punish you, the client, if you're not ready to commit yet because you haven't tried my products, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. And so our industry is full of these common practices, especially with the older pops, that we have to break out of that. So when I say other gyms don't do this, I'm not saying that we're elite. We're just, I feel like I've thought out of the box that our employees, my other employee here, John, we definitely think outside the box when it comes to working with this demographic, how we program, how we talk with them, what the community is like in here, our environment, the way that we coach and progress. And I'd say the first thing that comes to mind is expectation. When you expect older people to not be able to lift weights, to have to do everything sitting down, to not put their arms over their head, to not do anything explosive, and not be able to do anything on their own, those are the kind of the 5 things that is common practice for older people.
Yeah.
When you put that expectation out, they will lower themselves to that expectation, right? Rather than you coming in saying, we're going to teach you how to lift weights, and in some cases, heavy weights. I'm going to teach you how to move quickly. It's going to take years for us to build the strength and the coordination and the confidence to do that, but we're going to do it. Our average client stays with us 38 months now as our new updated time. It used to be 32. So now we're up to 38 months. Basically, 3.5 years. I've got 14 clients that have been with me 15 years or more now. I mean, you start to make a connection with people and you develop a way to challenge them and continue to achieve some goals, and they see success, and that cycle cannot stop. As soon as you get complacent with people where you're not learning anymore, you're not paying attention, you're not challenging them, you're not assessing, you're not reassessing. If we're not doing those things, they will leave. There's no better indicator of the value of your product than how long people stay and keep working with you. And if you're constantly having to group on and get new people in and cycle all the time, there's a problem with your product. You're not overpriced. Okay, there's a problem with the product. So we look at those common practices and say we're doing things different, and we know that they work. And so part of my education is wanting to teach those things to everybody else. But to answer your question, sorry about the rant. To answer your question, we will get a new client in, and our first day, we call it a movement observation and a strategy session. Another title that I stole from the Cosgroves. I'm big fans of them. We differ on some business stuff and some training styles and whatnot, but the basics of what they put together, I love it. So the strategy session, it's a private sit down. We go through all their health history. It's very interview, like a newspaper style. I'm writing an article and I want to collect all this data from them. So I ask all these different questions. What injuries have you had? Does anything hurt on your body? Are there any movements that you do on a daily basis that hurt? Getting in and out of your car, getting up and down off the toilet, rolling out of the bed to the right versus the left, like that kind of stuff. I want to collect all that. Surgeries, medications, any kind of treatments you're going through, therapies that you're going through, be it, going to a counselor, going to nutritionist, going to, a psychotherapist, like whatever it might be, anything that I can collect data from them. We collect all that. And then our movement observation is more or less a assessment, but without them knowing they're being assessed. So you're a California guy right now, and any distance runners or anyone, you might know this name. There's a business called Fleet Feet, and Fleet Feet sells shoes. And when you go in there, you don't go in and say, I want the new Asics, 3.0 or whatever it is. You come in and they say, I want to watch you run, and then we'll tell you what, $180 pair of shoes that you're going to need. And it's never the $79 shoes that are on sale. It's always these new ones that are perfect for you. So I'm in there with my wife, and the guy goes, go ahead and run. And this guy can't be in his second year of kinesiology school because he's using big terms, but he's using them wrong. And so he runs away, and he's watching her, and he turns around, she turns around, she runs back. And as I'm watching her, I'm like, she doesn't run like that. That's not how she normally runs, right? But because someone's watching her, someone's assessing her, she's thinking, I have to be as perfect as I can be, and her posture changed, everything changed. And then he goes, you're a pronator. And in my head, I'm like, she's a supinator. And so I'm going through, we're going through this whole thing. And I'm like, not only is he assessing her totally wrong, but she's not giving him the true account of it, right? So people are the same way. When you come in and you say, we're doing the FMS, I want you to stand with this foot, and I'm going to judge and assess you and see how you do, they will move and do things differently than what they would normally do. So our movement observation is, let's grab this mat over here, put it on the floor, and then go ahead and hop down there for me. I want to take you through some things. And they'll get down there and I'll say, oh, you know what? We're going to need a couple of bands. Can you get back up and come over and grab those 2 blue bands? And they'll get up and go over and get the bands, and they'll come back down. And I'll say, oh, I forgot the foam roller. Can you go get the foam roller? So now I've seen them get up and down 3 times. And now my movement observation is watching how they get up and down. Okay. And then I'll go over and say, okay, our first movement that we're going to do, I just want to watch you do some step ups. Are you comfortable attempting a step up? And they go, yeah. And I said, I got a 6-inch and a 12-inch and an 18-inch box. Go ahead and do 2 or 3 on each leg. And while they do that, I'm watching, are they doing a butt up? Are their hips going first? Are they rounding over? Are they toe dominant, right? I'll have them show me a hinge, pick up something off the ground and return. It could be a pencil. It could be a 5-pound dumbbell, whatever it is. And so I'll take them through like a little mock workout, a little something, but really it's my observation to see how they do some of these basic movements, okay? And for more info on that, look on our YouTube page. There's a whole one on there. It's all about our movement observation. It takes you through step by step. So we do that. We collect that data. We have all their information that I've collected from basically the interview process. And then we ask, do you have any questions about us? We go through all that. We give them a tour of the gym. They say, this is great. I'm ready to do it. And I say, awesome. Let's set up your first official workout. And they go, well, can we do that today? And I say no. And the reason no is I haven't had time to take all that data, interpret what I want to do yet, and build them a program that's appropriate. And this is where most business coaches say, that's not right. They're ready to buy now, so you need to act in the moment. That's what I'm talking about, the difference between investing clients and bargain bottom buyers. I want someone who is going to invest in that product, and they're going to understand that I need to build their product first. So now I've collected all the information. Give me the chance to build a good product for you, a good workout. And then when you come back tomorrow or on Thursday or wherever it is and we meet, we'll do that program that's specifically built for you. Then we do that and they say, I love it. I want to keep going. Then I'll collect their payment information and we get that going. But nothing prior to that. Okay. And I know that really differs with a lot of business coaches. I see them shaking their head when I do my talks and they're like, that's not right. It's a different philosophy. And it works. It does work. It's just a different demographic, a different focus, a different group of people that I work with. So this is many ways to skin a cat, more or less. In our fitness industry, we've seen from bodybuilders to CrossFitters to, your traditional strength and conditioning. Everybody gets in shape. It's just a different way of going about it. So that's more or less the introduction to this whole thing. And then when they get in here, they train in an environment of like-minded or training purpose-based clients. I don't want to use the word goal because goals usually mean there's a start and a stop. So our training purpose is to improve our lower back, reduce my back pain, to get my hips strong. Or it might be a culminating event, like I have a hike and I'm going to climb Mount Rainier in a year or whatever it might be. And so we'll look at that and say, this is a group of people that are going to be similar to what you're doing. And we'll put them together. We don't necessarily ask them what time is best for you. Right? I want to put them in the group that best fits their needs, and I'll try to adjust that to their time schedules. But that's the right product. You need to kind of come then. And so we put them into the group. They start to train, start teaching them those 6 pillars every day. We start to work with the basics and work up. We have a whole continuum of movements, basically the most simple hinge, the most simple row, the most simple split stance. And as they get more successful, we start progressing them across that continuum, where clients that have been here for 5, 6, or 10 years, they're all the way up at this end already. But everybody works out together. Everybody has this camaraderie in the community and the social facilitation, the aspect of working hard with other people present is there for them. And with the older demographics, you get individuals that have lost their significant other. They've lost friends and family. And so this becomes that environment for them. It becomes their family and their energy. So that's, again, a long-winded answer, but that's kind of the idea of how we kind of introduce them into this, how I collect my information, and then where we put them to. And that progression from there on out lasts years, decades in some of our clients. We're just always challenging them and re-observing and re-obsessing what they can do, and finding in some cases new goals and challenges for them, as we go along.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I mean, I do like what you do on the onboarding process of telling them, not yet, let me build out your plan. I think we always want to get people, traditional business will say, get people to buy when emotions are high, right? But I like the cooling off period because it gives people time to digest. And then if you're really going to have a long-term client, right? Absolutely. If they sit and they reflect on it and they say, you know what, this guy really knows what he's talking about. This is where I want to invest my time and money. And ultimately for them, it's such a big, scary thing, right? That's a big part of it as well. Is this is a huge commitment for many of us who are athletes or who have been in the gym for a long time. Walking into a gym isn't a big deal, but we always forget, especially for any client who's not particularly athletic or gym oriented, what a big step. But then you add on to top of this is maybe some of these people haven't been in the gym in a long, long time, forever, decades, right? And you have to ask them to do that. So, man, you touched on something both before recording and in this recording about your referral base versus your referral generation versus lead generation. Walk us down that path, man. What is that? What's the difference? Give us some strategies, tactics, things that we can use.
Yeah, my dad is a marketing director. He's worked at 3 different hospitals and Caesar's Palace and Six Flags, and he's all about you got to get in front of them 6 different ways, and it's phone and it's TV and newspaper and flyers and he goes, especially the older demographics, they all check their mail and they read the newspaper. And for me and our personal experiences, we've tried some of those things in the past, which those are all lead generations, almost like cold calls where you're trying to get brand new clients to come in. And in such a personal environment, it's such a personal field of personal training, I feel like the referral generations are better opportunities and better long-term investments for us to be able to provide opportunities for our clients to bring more people to us has really been the most beneficial thing. So we don't really want lead generation. We want referral generation. So we do community events, a ton of community events. I think we do 5 or 6 a year. We do one with Food Links where I've got bags of dry food goods in my office right now. Everybody brings in a bag of dry food to donate to Food Links, the homeless shelter here that they feed out. And they get to bring a guest with them for free, and they get the workout included if they bring a bag. And so they'll bring in their significant other, a neighbor, a friend, a coworker, someone, and they come in and we do a big group workout and we got music and I'm, loud and yelling with everybody. And then they get done. We give out, flyers to everybody and a free workout for them to come back. And, we give them a chance to see our personalities and our style. And even though it's not, there's 20 people in the room, it's not what we normally do, which is, 4 to 8 people every hour. That's a little more personalized. They still get to experience things and they get to see how fun it is to be in there, with their friend or their spouse or brother or whatever it is. And so we give our clients that opportunity. We put open invitations to our clients all the time. They're constantly welcome to bring a guest to work out with them. They just need to let us know a little bit ahead of time. And as long as we have time, we'll make that happen. We do one for the SPCA where people bring in dog foods and cat foods and blankets and they get a workout. So a lot of opportunities that way where we'll kind of put something in with charity to have them come in and experience. And we do big photos of the group at the end. We have fun ones like strengthen your relationship workout we do on Valentine's Day. And so it's a give and go workout with your significant other or just a partner that you want to come in with. And a lot of our clients, we train the wife or the husband, but not the other one. Right now, we just did a new update. It's 60% or 63% of our current business. We train the wife and the husband. And so we give those other, 40% or so the opportunity to bring in their other half and kind of see, they'll hear the stories and, it doesn't sound all that bad. And the husbands come in and they just get totally blown away by a workout and they have a lot more respect for the wife and what she does. The next thing I know, they're in our men's group, Yeah. So it's really fun in that way to where and it starts to put things together when we do our rack pulls and we're testing this week. Well, how much did my husband do? And so the ladies are ramping it up, there's a good competitive environment. It's really fun. So we give them opportunities that way. We do education. I did a fall prevention class. We do ergonomics class for their car, for their desks, where they're working at. We've done, John, our other employee, does a military prep program for 8 weeks at a time to get, high school kids and college kids ready to go into the military, whatever service it is they're going to do. And he gears everything towards their test they need to qualify to get into that branch. And so we do a lot of events he works with our youth and with our sports performance and our military. He's military as well. And so he's kind of got that demographic, like the 40 and under, and then I'm everybody up, And so we tailor those events and opportunities where our clients have chances to bring more people like that. Because typically we hang around with people that are like-minded or similar attitudes or personalities. Rarely we find just this awesome client who brings in a total asshole they want to, work out with. Like usually they're bringing in people that are pretty cool like them. And they don't want to bring in somebody that's going to, stink up the place or have a bad attitude, or they're going to throw a wrench in. This is their place. This is their home, their studio, their gym. So they want to bring in people that are going to add to that value. And we just see it over and over again. And we thank our clients. We don't have a referral program where they're getting points and T-shirts or anything, but we'll have clients that will bring people in. And I'll just call them up and be like, let's go to lunch on Friday. And I'll give them a note, that just, a hand note that says thank you. Or, I might give them a free workout one time and just say, hey, you've had 3 new clients that have come in. You filled our fall prevention webinar class with 4 of your buddies. Like, we're so thankful that you're here doing this, and that you think that much of us to bring your loved ones to us. When someone brings that someone in their circle of trust, their love circle to you, that's a huge compliment. Like they're trusting you with their parent or their grandparent. You don't screw that up. That's a great vote of confidence that they're giving you. So I just, there's no greater compliment as a trainer than to have a client tell grandma to come in here. That's huge for me, So we really give them a lot of opportunities to do that. And it takes time. That's the hard part. You could get 10 new people on Groupon, where with us, it might take 3-4 months to get 10 new people. But I think those people stay. That's the big argument, the big difference.
Yeah. Do you find that the older demographics, I feel like we should come up with a better name than older demographics, but do you feel that they're more likely to refer than?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We use the term older adult. So that's I don't like seniors. I don't like elder. There's like the frail elders and that kind of thing. So just older adults, and everybody kind of defines that different: 50, 55, 65. I just kind of say 50 and up, older adults. But yes, I definitely think when they find something they believe in and they truly love it, they refer like crazy. Like they really have a connection to us. Like when I've been in the hospital, my last stint in there was for my hernia, and it was in and out that day. But I had, 3, 4, 5 visitors just in like the couple of hours I was in the hospital, let alone when I got home. People came to visit and they sent me stuff and they brought us food. And like when you're making that kind of connection, people value you that much, you're doing things right. And so, I think a lot of them look at me like extended family or, a really good friend of theirs. They tell me personal things. Like that means we have a new connection. So they will refer that experience to other people in their circle. And I don't take that for granted or take that lightly at all. Like that's definitely a compliment to me. I have a very close circuit of friends, but a huge community of people that I work with and that, are in my kind of my bigger circle. But those tight ones that are really close to me, I truly value that love and affection. You get anywhere near that with these clients where they trust you, not only with their body, but other people that they value like that, you're doing things right. I can't say that enough, more than any numbers or anything that say that's telling you your product is really good. And if they're referring over like that, keep kicking ass and keep doing that. But yeah, I definitely feel like they have a value. If you're reducing pain or helping them achieve more mobility and ability to go out and be active, those are the 2 things they tell everybody about.
Yeah.
On the other side, if you screw up and you hurt them, they tell everybody about that too. Yeah, and it's always a harassing way. Like, remember when you tore my rotator cuff? And I'm like, it was already torn. We heard it one day.
Found it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you hear about that kind of thing on and on. So we definitely progress people slow. But
yeah. Well, Robert, this is I can't agree with you more. Even in the small, when I own my facility, just the last 6 to 9 months, I started working with what we call our Legends class, and it was actually for a while the only class that I coached. I took myself off the schedule completely because it was so rewarding. Just like we had a toe touch test, right? And when people finally got to that point, they could tie their own shoe, right? But you take this shit for granted.
Totally.
And then you start to see like, wow, what a difference. Like imagine if you couldn't tie your shoe, just imagine, because it'll happen to you eventually, right? It's bound to happen. if you can reverse that in time and get that back to something like something we take for granted, but so critical of an every day, to get that, the satisfaction and the reward is 10 times better than, a 400-pound back squat that you get a young client to get. And nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to urge people to really get into this and really experience it, because it's awesome. Where do people find all of your educational stuff? Where are you sending them?
trainingtheolderadult.com. So we have a website that's all geared towards that. You'll see all the links for YouTube all listed on there. I have some articles up on there. And then under the events, you click on there. We do some live clinics here, like a 2-day live clinic here at the gym in Sacramento. We do that once or twice a year. And then the online stuff is all listed there. And then anywhere on Facebook. I'm on Instagram a little bit. I'm more of a Facebooker, just because that's where most of my clients and the older demographics are. I put a ton of stuff on Facebook. I probably put 4 or 5 posts up a day and just highlight our clients and experiences and education. I put everything on there about our webinar series, up and coming events, all that. So you find it all on there. Feel free to friend me. I'm happy to connect and share whatever information I can. I do, I call them career development calls too. Basically, I have a half-hour commute from the gym to home. So I'll schedule calls with folks, do them for free, and just whatever you want to chat about or ask questions about while I'm heading home, feel free. I'm happy to do them. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, Robert, thank you so much. I'm so glad we got connected, and it's awesome to me that all I had to do is do one post, and then I had 3 people say Robert Linkul's the guy. So obviously you're doing the right things, and you're working with a great population. And I wish my parents were just an hour closer, because they're in Truckee. I would have them at your gym in a heartbeat. So cool. Yeah, man. Just thanks for coming on. It's been really great.
My pleasure. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Take care.
Hey, fitness fans, don't leave yet. It's your host, Eric Malzone, and I have a quick favor to ask. Actually, 3 favors. So, number 1, if you're a fan of our show, I ask you to do something that takes under 3 minutes. Go to iTunes, please, and subscribe to our show. Please, please, please. It means so much to us. It's so important. And then give us a favorable review. We would really, really appreciate it. And I can't tell you how much it means and helps us out. So I know it takes 2 minutes of your day, and it means a lot to us. So please do that. Number 2, go to our YouTube channel, our Fitness Marketing Alliance, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel there. Number 3, if you like this episode or any of the episodes that we've released, share it on social. That's huge. That's a big deal for us. And we put a lot of work into these episodes, trying to give you great actionable content for the fitness industry. So that would mean a lot. And that's it. So we have some big plans coming up for this show. I'll be talking about that in the next couple episodes. But thank you so much for listening. It means so much. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from everybody. Eric, ERIC, at fitnessmarketingalliance.com.